world for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. In this edition, heroic Team Kenya is pushing boundaries as well.
An Olympic gold medal.
More significantly, Kenya is intent on claiming victory at the quadrennial sporting event comprising of 45 sports that will be staged from 24th of July through to the 11th of August. For everyone.
Yes, it is!
For the athlete, it is chasing a dream of a lifetime. And for the fan, witness history in the making, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Naitwa Samoro Kireli Gathemba. Mimi ni mwanariadha, nashiriki michezo wa kutembea. 2016 Brazil na huko Tokyo 2020 imenipea na imeniwezesha kuwa na uzoefu na nikakuwa nimekomaa sana katika huo mchezo, kuonyesha kwamba mahali nimefika kwa hiyo Olimpiki ya 3 niko na ile mahesabu ambayo itaniwezesha pale hata nikienda Paris niweze kung'ang'ana angalau nikuje na medali moja na nionyeshe Kenya ya kwamba tumefika kitengo kingine na tumekuwa tuko kwa kiwango ingine.
Good morning and a warm welcome. This is the great KBC and you're just in time for KBC News Check, the day being the July the 16th, 2024. And the first thing, the state of the nation in a brief. Today we are keeping tabs on the state of demonstration as called or as initiated by the Gen Zs. And they say today they're still going to be having mandamanos to pile pressure on the government to, among others, be articulate and accountable as well. But in the last couple of days, a lot has happened in the country, beginning from the biggest on Thursday, where the president fired all his cabinet secretary, left for Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and of course the office of the Deputy President, which is enshrined in the Constitution. Other than that, the national dialogue, the president and among other leaders is in limbo. It didn't kick off yesterday as was anticipated. So where does it leave the dialogue as initiated by the head of state? Other than that, we also have a killer on the loose, but he has been by the police. After confessing to, according to DCI, 42 murders. That is something that also we'll be putting into perspective. But as things stand, is that 10 bodies have been recovered as well. Last week, the head of state did assent to the IEBC Act. And what that means is that now the framework for looking for the IEBC chair and other commissioners has been set on pace. And also something many Kenyans may not realize, but it is in the news and especially in social media, is the fuel levy by 7 shillings, actually an upward adjustment by 7 shillings. But the head of state said that will not be going down to the pockets of Kenyans, but Kenyans have noted with a lot of concerns in regards to how it was gazetted, that all these things need to have gone through public participation and also input of. That's just a feel of what the kind of show we'll be having. And something else also worth mentioning is that who are on standby to actually give us a feel of what will be happening at State House. We'll be having my colleagues Khalid will be have a feel of how the security is. Maandamano in town. Abdi Aziz has been doing a very good job in regards to covering this, and he will be in town, same as my colleague Yusuf. And we're also keeping tabs with the Mukuru post-mortem that are currently happening at the Nairobi Funeral Home mortuary. We'll also be looking at businesses. If you ask me, within 20 minutes, take about 45 to an hour on normal days, people have decided to shy away from the CBD, and many businesses have been closed. We are receiving some text telling us not to take our kids to school yesterday, but some are still running. We'll also be keeping tabs with the Mandamanos, so in Kisumu. And to drive this interview, I'll be joined by three guests, beginning from engineer Crispus Wad, regular here, and also a governance expert, putting things into perspective. And allow me to also introduce Shali Wairimu. She's also a social media manager and content creator. Karibu. First things first. After we are done with this interview, unaenda maandamano?
Lazima.
You want to still pile pressure on the government?
Choice. We have things that we need to say, and we need to be heard. Plain and simple.
Question. The head of state did ask for dialogue.
Yeah.
But the Gen Zs, based on what we saw yesterday, they were not sure. There are no delegates. Why did you decide as young people not to say? Because at the end of the day, the dialogue is not about the youths alone. It's a national conversation now. Yeah.
I mean, like, if we have this conversation, let's say a few people are chosen and they have to have the. And what usually happens is these specific people who've gone to have this dialogue, of course, they're going to be offered opportunities. We all know that. Rest of us, and that is why we are saying we are leaderless, because we feel like if there's a dialogue that's supposed to happen, let the people on the ground. That is where they came and asked for our votes, right? They came and had conversations with us, gave us promise. That's where we are. You have protection, these policemen, the same police, use them, come, let's have a conversation. But there's no people who are going to say they are our leaders, because we all know that those leaders will get opportunities, and the rest of us,
of course, you will be telling us about the leaderless, fearless, tribeless. But in the likes of Nelson Mandela, we've also had the likes of Martin Luther King.
True.
So they led revolutions, right? But
yes.
Hold the thought.
Okay.
And guest, Engineer Crispus Wadhimba.
Thank you so much.
Karibu sana, Engineer.
Asante sana.
First things first, the talks that the president had initiated and it's going to take about a week, beginning on Monday, which was yesterday. That did not happen. You know, talks are in limbo.
As a country, starting from the IPPG talks of 1997, we've never seen much in a lot of these dialogues. We have a lot of reports out of these discussions, but not much outcome has been able to transform the lives of Kenyans. And one of the things that the Gen Zs are demanding is action. And action comes out of political goodwill. And one of the currencies we really lack as a country is to do what is good When it comes to fighting corruption, we don't need to have dialogue on that. All we need is that the person who is in office, goodwill, the stewardship to deliver on what is required of him or her as a leader. So the issue of dialogue, I think for issue, the Gen Zs or the revolution or the movement that is there at hand today has clearly demonstrated. The dismissal of the cabinet is one of those requirements that have been put out there in terms of what it needs to be. Another 9 issues that they have raised, and importantly is the issue of employment of the young people, which means you don't want to represent the millions of young people. We want opportunities for all the young people. And how do you achieve that? By making policies that truly you are geared in terms of job creation. The current administration spoke a lot about economic transformation agenda. 2 years down the line, we have not seen real tangible gains they are put in place in creating those jobs. Compare that with other administrations that have been there. Between 2008 and 20, we had the post-election violence, then we have the Grand Coalition government, and then the coming of the economy. We saw a lot of vibrancy in the market. We saw credit went low, banks were able to lend, everybody was financial markets. That's the time M-Pesa was coming on board, and there was a lot of vibrance in the economy that was able to include everybody and lift. Those are the kind of policies we are looking forward, or we have been looking forward since 2022 today, so that we transformation, which we haven't felt. And that's why we are seeing every financial year, come June or July, we don't want that to happen in 2025, 2026, because this administration will just be remembered with a lot of demonstrations. And the issues that these people are demanding for were never addressed. So let us reduce on the talking, let us do some action.
Remember, even the clergy said that our leaders really need to listen to the ground. I'll give a practical example. The former I remember him standing next to the president last week and saying, yes, we need to have a dialogue. But a couple of days later, he said no dialogue. On Sunday, don't work. Is it that the leaders are not reading the real mood on the ground? Because changing your mind for a person of his caliber raises a lot of eyebrows. You know,
Raila has been a person who has taken a full advantage of that. 1998, when we have the NDP Kanu Maja talks, he got a position from it. When we have the Grand Coalition government, he got a premier position. In 2018, from the handshake, he got half of the government from that. Maybe he has realized, wow, the times have changed. The Kenyan of today are not ready for dialogue, because whenever they go to those dialogues, Odinga and people around him will benefit. But the rest of Kenya remains poor. Kibera is still as poor as it were in 2019. Out of his engagement with governments of the day, what has been seen to transform the people of Kenya? None. People around him. So the Gen Zs have told him, boss, sit back, allow us to move forward in terms of demanding the transformation we want. Step back and realize the time for dialogue is not today. The time of me being the leader of a dialogue process is. So he has taken back and he has decided to listen. And so the head of state also needs to listen and do what is required.
Indeed, we're keeping tabs with what is happening in all parts of the country, especially in the light of the Gen Z saying that today will be a man or Tuesday. And allow me now to also introduce our next panelist, and thank you so much indeed for joining us, Kimani Mwangi, who is a political analyst and also a leadership. Sana, my brother.
Asante sana Bwana Njue, and many apologies, I've come in late.
Yeah, actually the first time you dropped in late. we expecting mandamanos as called out by the Gen Zs? We have seen what some of these are doing to businesses, and actually, I passed by CBD, but a lot of businesses have decided to close shop for today, and there was some dialogue of which we've had a number from the NADCO to the BBI, going back or to the Waki report. We have had a lot of reports that are gathering. There was dialogue that was supposed to commence yesterday, but no venue, no delegates, and the Gen Z. I'd like you to comment on that.
I've just come in when engineer was talking about it, and you see, dialogue is euphemism for a tranquilizing medicine to tell the youth, hold on, we are thinking about you, because what we needed, if anything, other than radical measures being implemented to see into it that we have austerity measures in the government, was a committee of experts, not an amorphous group. We are not a country at war with itself, where we may need to dialogue and on what is good for us. We are a country where the largest quarter of population to demand for its rights. And it has decided it is not going to wait for it to entry from the older generations. It has given reasonable demands to the president other than the one that is all the other demands are demands that the president can implement, and those he has no purview to implement, experts to advise on how they can be implemented. So these dialogue issues, I think for once and for all politicians, they must understand that we are in order and that the old order is not working. We are not going to put new wine in old wine skins. They must know that. This is an issue. You call upon friends here, you come up with a committee to dialogue, and then you think you've sorted it out. It's not going to work this time around. New tricks. Otherwise they'll find themselves out of office very early in the morning. Because what a revolution whose time has come. And you know that the danger with the revolution is when the time comes, revolutions must happen. The saddest thing again is that the trees of liberty must be refreshed by the blood of patriots, sadly, who refuse to give way to revolutions.
And we are hoping that that situation, we have already
We have over 40 people who've been reported death. Very sad for a nation, especially when there is a government that is at war with its young people who are asking questions that are very legit. I think it is time for the president now to act in the right way, not in the popular way, not in the but the right way.
All right.
For once and for all, let's sit down and sort out this mess. What can be done and do it? For God's sake, what is so hard about fighting corruption? Right? If you truly want to fight it. What's so hard about issues that are being asked? It is difficult to tell somebody who has a constitutional commission that are set to lower it because it is a legal issue. The labor relations doesn't allow you to lower salary for your employees. It is a legal. For such, we can have committee of experts to look into such issues. For us to lower our counties from 47 to 25, which is again, we may need expertise into the process.
And the referendum for that matter.
Yes, but some things we don't need hula baloo. We don't need Odinga, like my fellow discussant has put it. It is to understand that even the best of dancers must exit the stage.
All right. Charlie, on that, OECS is less for the prime cabinet secretary. Of course, that is something that also has come up in the national dialogue because it said that forgot the one unconstitutional seat. But away from the constitutionality of it, he is looking into new CSs, where he talked about from all political formation, from all sectors, what exactly would you want, would you like to see in the new cabinet? And is this the best opportunity for the head of state to actualize what he said, that he said that his government itakuwa ya mama mboga, itakuwa ya watu wa boda, and everyone will be included?
I mean, first of all, while these politicians were going around vying for these seats, that's exactly what they said. I feel like the conversation of us and all that, it was already said. The thing that we are trying to say is we don't need a dialogue, we do not need a conversation. Even some of the things that he's doing, right, we're on the right track. He's giving us something. The same way he was able to get rid of the cabinet, he's able to make a lot of changes, just as like he has said about corruption. It's something hard. So he's on the right track. We like that, because I feel like a lot of the people who are working for the government, nothing, traveling around the world, wearing expensive suits. That's what's happening. So we are glad that he's doing something. But of talking, more of working. He has just talked about a revolution. The reason we are coming with so much force is because the conversation before. This is not the first time these conversations have been had in our country. We've held panels like this, interviews like this, talking as citizens and saying, we agree that as young people, the one mistake that we made is that we do not vote. I will admit to that. Because for the longest, always like, it's not our business. But now we do know that it is our business to make change. So for the remaining time, let him continue doing his job. He's doing an amazing job. But come to the ground, have a conversation with us. Deal with the people who are corruption and people who are stealing people's money. I mean, it's not such a hard thing to do. Let them be hard, but let them pay for what they've done. You know, a lot of these people who even are under like funded our fundings as youth, what happens is we want to get to those funds, but we can't, because the people who are working the money. So you as a young person, you want to start biashara yako ya smoky, where are you going to start? You don't have the funding. Lucky enough to have family members who we are going to support you to even come for this interview, but there's someone mwenye hana hiyo pesa. And so even when we try to go there, seek for job opportunities by ourselves, bado tunatafutwa. So these are the things that we are saying. It is very, very the funds that we are supposed to receive as young people had to party. Even if I want to start as Shirley, just the other day I was selling cookies. So but now I cannot start because I don't have the funding. Why? Because the funds, kuna wenye wanakula huko ndani. So just like to deal with certain things, there are certain agendas that have to be dealt with.
For some
why should we have dialogues? These are things that we've policies that we have in Kenya. You know, there is no need to keep conversing over things that have been written and said. Some of the policies that I was reading even yesterday, they're talking about freedom of speech. You know, we are peaceful. No one is out here. We are not. What is the essence of us breaking things and stealing? Those are active. And during this time of maandamano, it's the same wamamas when you wanatupea maji. Let me tell you the funniest thing. It's wamama wa mboga wanakuambia kuleni for free. The matatus walituambia tusilipe. All you have to do is come with your ID. Matatus are free, and I can assure you it is free because we are peaceful. We are not trying to fight anyone. We are not trying to break anything, and we have come in peace. But now the truth is, in peace, they're not even ready for a dialogue. Just like you have said, Raila Odinga was supposed to have a conversation. All of a sudden, he woke up and decided no. You're not even doing your job as an opposition leader. At least hata tingisha kidogo. But now even him, he's as Gen Z, we start to realize, So even the opposition, wote wako pamoja. There's nothing opposition, there's no one is here to save us. We have to save ourselves, and the time is now, and we need to be heard. And if you're not going to do your job, someone else to do it. There's so many young people who want to be leaders. So many people are educated, right? So many people wameenda shule. So many people are learned, have thoughts, but there's no opportunity for them. And even now, as I'm here talking to you guys, I'm actually afraid, because you do an interview, you're not sure, you know. I also don't want to say I am a leader of Gen Z, because I am not.
All right, we totally understand. Thank you, Kusalimiwa.
I am not.
We are very objective in this show, because
Yes.
at the end of the day, we have the cardinal duty to ensure that we live our country in peace, but not, and we navigate through
Yes.
these challenges. Engineer, talking about challenges, the head of state yesterday, the day before that, had mentioned that there are some foreign powers that are really pushing these mandamanos. And yesterday he singled out one of them, the Ford Foundation, funding mandamanos. But looking at the mandamanos themselves, all these people who are coming out, and especially the first and the second mandamanos, too many to have been paid off. But at the end of the day, what he said could be a very valid reason as to why everything is going the way it is. The West, how much influence do they have, and especially on these mandamanos?
You know, it's quite strange for the president to blame the Ford Foundation for the challenges he has. He admitted that his cabinet has failed him. The reason why Kenyans went to demonstrate is because the government was not working for them. Government, the head of state with his cabinet. And when he dismissed that cabinet, it was a clear demonstration that the very reason up against the government is the failure of his administration. Let us not start blaming shadows for this issue. Or any other civil society has every right to speak, to promote, to advance an agenda. But it is also not fair for a government to be perceived to be constraining or free engagement of any foreign or local organization. If there are any legal or foundations that he has with Ford Foundation, we have the NGO regulatory authority that can to arrest such issues. But for now, I don't want to allow myself to be dragged into blaming Ford. Have no authority. A month ago, the president was in America, and some of the people he was dining with were the Ford Foundation. This is an American organization. It's from America. So why would we start fighting an ally that you have already established, and we expect a lot of support from them? So I think it's not in the right direction for him to start dragging foreign agencies or let us deal with the problem. The problem is that masses of our young people are not employed. They have no livelihood. That is the problem. Deal with that issue and look around ourselves. Who are those around ourselves? Our advisors, our cabinet secretaries, our MPs. Bringing the transformation we want. Those are the enemies. The people who steal, the people who arrogantly talk to Kenyans, the people who go to and say, I have a watch of this value, belt of this value. You are speaking ill to the Kenyan people. They've taken 12 years ago. You are a political analyst like me. You had no money even to pay for a car. But today, a belt of 1 million. Kenyans know, you know, the internet has record. The Kenya, we are a country of records. Even if you, in 20 years' time, people will be able to retrieve and say, this is what you said 20 years ago. So we know where some of these leaders were. 12 URP, TNA administration came in. And you cannot tell me how you can transform yourself from a pauper to a very industry in Kenya and tell us that is genuine money. We have seen people who have built empires in 20 years, but a watch of 20 million.
All right. Kimani, I'm looking at what the president did on Thursday to fire all the cabinet. A country that never resigns. Our leaders never resign or take responsibility. Do you believe that they even failed the country? After they were fired, they were saying, thank you, I wish to thank the president for giving me an opportunity to serve the country. And that is why they were fired. The revolution that the Gen Zs have initiated is not the one exactly which fired that. It's because they were incompetent, because that was one of the demands of the Gen Zs.
You see, we say things don't go wrong. They start wrong. He was told very well during the vetting of his cabinet that you've chosen to skin your own skunk, we shall give you the skunk. Because he's the one who appointed charlatans in his cabinet. Criminals with cases pending, and other courts. And he chose to employ them. He employed utterly incompetent, basic qualifications to run a village kiosk, let alone a cabinet. But he chose to have them as his cabinet. Now, he should not be surprised when one turns around and sells fake fertilizer to the people. This guy was an alleged criminal when you hired him into cabinet. How did you expect him to perform differently? Now when you have from shiny object syndrome, that today we see them with a belt of 1 million, tomorrow we watch of 1 million, and today they are buying houses in Karen, tomorrow they are competing who owns a chopper first, then it turns into your cabinet. Now, the president understood rather late that anybody serving under a ruler, anything that a person does that is different from that is pure betrayal. The president was betrayed by, as engineer is putting it, the largesse, the opulence, the arrogance of his people is what has brought us where we are today.
I did say one time that if you are a CS and I know about your cabinet portfolio more than you, the telltale signs were...
With all due respect to Aisha Jumwa, how much did the president expect Aisha Jumwa to...
She's not here to defend us.
No, I'm asking. No. That is why I've said with all due respect and in recognition that she's not here to answer. But honestly, when you
without singling anyone, because they were fired, all of them.
Right. In as much as we are supporters of the president, we are bitter about it. This country is full of capable men and women who can handle the cabinet with... Because the cabinet exists to serve us, not even the president. He is the head of a cabinet whose sole intention is to deliver to the people of Kenya. Now, we go there to compete on who buys home first, who wears what, who shows us how powerful they are, and of people who dance with millions on the table, others walking around the garage to show us the vehicles they own, others, you know, to contribute 20 million when Sharasiel told us that his payslip is 2,000. What remains? He serves in one parliament with a person who is contributing 20 million, having, you know, that guy's club was vandalized and he, again, telling us he renovated it with 38M.
All right.
An empty. No, I want to show you the largesse. No, I want to show you the largesse and opulence and arrogance that has brought Kenya to where it is. We are not afraid of paying. We are not afraid of it. We are patriots who know that a country needs taxes to run. And the president understand this. Even when he blames Fonda Foundation, he needs to choose the side on which he is standing on this matter. Fonda Foundation and everybody else might have funded these things. We have no ability to know whether it is true or false. And it is upon him to tell us and investigate and prove. But then there is the elephant in the room. All these politics of old tricks of thinking that people are so overtaken by their current state of affairs that you can just call lie to them and they will be, oh, kumbe hii ni sabotage. There are people who want to bring you down. Those days are gone. Me, I was shocked about the level of education this younger generation possesses. You listen to them than us who call ourselves experts. They are quite knowledgeable on the issues they want done. What they are telling the president is, Mr. President, there is a lot of largesse, there is a lot of opulence in your government. Could you cut it down for our? Could you implement the austerity measures you told us when you came in that you are going to put in place, because we haven't seen it? There are all questions. Why should we have two ladies, the first and the second, take 1.2 billion? Why should we have the office of the president and the taking 14 billion when the money allocated to almost 1 million that is joining tertiary education is 39 billion? This takes half what the future of this generation is taking. Now, they are saying young people are forced to call off start because I have a younger brother who is joining university to do education and he is paying 1,000. Me, I paid 18. Engineer I would believe he was there in the times of boom.
17,000 was.
So we were combined. In fact, it was 16 because we were paying 32,000 yearly. Now imagine from 12, from 16 to 30, and then help. If you don't have elder brothers who can call themselves into a kamukunji and raise the money, you would have to call off so that when help comes, now you join the school. The president about what his people are going through.
All right.
Now, if he doesn't have people telling him the truth,
yes,
he needs to fire them with people who will be honest to him and tell him, Mr. President, thank you so much. You've reduced the inflation from 7 to 4.6. The cost of goods have come down, that is true. The cost of fuel has come down, that is true. But again, he must also understand that the economy does not have money. People don't even have money. That is the truth that the president must grapple with.
All right. And still on the cabinet, and I'll build up on what engineer, the type of people we want. And I remember during the vetting process, issues came about because a number of CSs have court cases. And even one CS said, I have about 30 cases during the vetting. And I want to put into context the level of integrity that you would want to see as the Gen Zs for.
First of all, I feel once you've decided to serve the people, act on that. I'm not saying that don't get paid. We all need something. But I'm saying what a specific career, do your job. Another thing that I like to say, I've noticed there are people who have never left the government since I was a young child. There are people, the same people. There are no young people who are coming up. People, they are not given these opportunities. If he's going to have another cabinet, right, vet your people. You have. Actually, I even saw some people, you are an MP, but you can't read. You can't even swear in. It's honestly very that these are the leaders that we have. Somebody is in the cabinet, has multiple cases, is out here bragging aeroplanes to fly people in and out of the country. Money that, or rather resources that are supposed to be used by the young people. So, cabinet, you need to vet your people. And I feel like this time round, have young people. One, even as we say we are leaderless, we have to have representation. You know, at the end of the day, to State House. But now these people have to be vetted very properly. It's a conversation that needs to be had. These people who are going to come, they need to be put out in the public. Because just like engineer here has said, social media never forgets of these people saying certain things. We have records of their lifestyles. We have records. Start from the ground. There are other people who deserve these opportunities, people who are willing to serve the people of Kenya. Do your job diligently. Take your time. Rushing into things is what has brought us here. Because now as young people, we are reading. In fact, we are forced to read. I literally slept at 3 a.m. reading the laws because I want to understand what is happening. And the worst part about it is we are reading the laws, but our politicians are completely different. Are we going to look at the laws or are we going to listen to our own people? And the politicians are supposed to go by the law. Job, there is so much time. And honestly, I'm not even going to lie. Ruto has a very big opportunity to serve another, able to rectify himself right now. The whole government, I'm sure if they work right now, we are willing to peaceful demonstrations because we are willing to have the dialogue. We are willing to listen. I saw a conversation with the people. They didn't throw rocks at him. They listened to him. They heard him. When Baba came and said he's going to have a dialogue, we told him, don't say you're representing us, don't say you're our leader. But we want the conversation. We don't have a problem. We just need the law. And there is a law that completely states how to do things, right? There is no way you're going to have people who are in the cabinet and have cases. How did that happen? How is this person in the cabinet? How? You have over 30 cases of corruption. Already you're telling us something, and it shows us as young people lack of seriousness that is in the government. So it's completely showing us that so anyone can get a join the cabinet. Anyone, you just have to be a friend of somebody, mheshimiwa, Godha tena in. That's what you're. Then I should also have a chair somewhere in the cabinet. If we don't need vetting, if it's anyone, yes. I think I should be there.
Yeah. Talking about integrity, engineer, I'm looking at the recent new changes in regards to the National Police Service. I wasn't, very honest, I wasn't shocked that the IG resigned. And now we have an acting IG. But if you look at the social, more than that, we are talking about accountability. All these police officers who shot and killed the protesters need to be brought to book. A few changes up there. Do you believe that instills confidence in Kenyans?
You know, we have created very good laws. We've built good institutions which look very good on paper. The application of the law, in terms of using the powers provided by the law, this institution, and one of them is IPOA. And I don't think there are as many successful prosecutions that IPOA has been able to carry out to the can have confidence in that institution. And the reason we don't have confidence in that, because we have seen so many abuses Kenyans by the police, and very little has been done to try and arrest those issues, prosecute them, and give. In the case of the recent maandamano, forget about even the ones that happened this year. What about the ones? Even during the Uhuru regime, there were so many violations of the law by the Kenyan police, but police service. But we have not seen any prosecution from IPOA. So we need to revisit. Is it that the institutions don't have the legal framework, or is it that the people who are put in those offices are not able to do their work? For me, I want to believe that where we are looking for regional balance, we are looking for the face of Kenya, and we are for. We need to have merit as a priority in putting people in office. And even that has been dismissed. We focus more on the loyalty, political relations than the merit of the. If you are able to have people of merit in any office, people who can confidently tell you, yes, I respect you as my, I cannot do this what you've asked of me, then we will have confidence in those institutions. Made to believe Chebukati is probably the closest human being, maybe who stood up the authority then and confidently said, as the president. And we expected from that position where there is somebody who stood and said, I as the chair of IEBC, then even you will allow the institution within your government to be able to pronounce themselves independently. But unfortunately, we have seen that this government, if it's not the president speaking for it, nobody else can be able to speak authoritatively. So we don't want an administration. We want an administration where even the institutions themselves, IPOA, EACC, Kenya Police Service, organs of government are able to work independently, because the people holding that office are people who are fit for purpose and they know.
Kimani, let's pick from where Engineer has left it in regards to actually the next government that we are looking at in terms of the CSs. He said, I will engage consultation across the political divide. Saturday, he said, nitaongea na viongozi wote na Wakenya wote. Could we be looking at a government? And is it the right time to actualize exactly what he said? Remember, he had talked about 50% of the cabinet being women. Not even, and I'm looking at also the affirmative action. Right now in studio, I have about the crew here, 5. And we have 4 ladies and only 1 gentleman, just to show you how the balance of affirmative action, especially, are very serious in regards to that. The head of state did promise 50% of his cabinet. He said not 2/3 gender rule or anything. Gonna factor in Mama Mboga, the border guys. Is this the right time? Because Kenyans are watching.
You see, whenever politicians, border guys, Mama Mboga, it is in reference to the common people. It is what we used to call Wanjiko. Nowadays, Wanjiko has transformed to Mama Mboga. Now, Mama Mboga is not asking to be included in a cabinet. She does not have the energy, the timing of the legalese of running a government. She doesn't even want it. All Mama Mboga is asking is, could you make it fair? Can I go out in the morning and come back with something for my children to eat? She's not even asking to be given an opportunity to build skyscrapers. She does of these things. What Boda guy is asking is, can I get enough to educate my child and live humanly possible? Can I go to a hospital? Can I go to a school where there are books and other resources for my child? Can I walk through road that are... In other words, the people ask for provision of basic services and an economy where they can thrive, whatever to them. Now, when you come to forming the keymost organ of the state, you need to have the most integracious people in the society to take those positions. You need to have men and women, because at every given opportunity they will be seeking to benefit themselves from the public coffers. Now the president his mistakes and fill his cabinet with integracious, learned, capable servants who are going to take this country to the next level. We all understand, we've seen in the past how a good cabinet can lead this government. Kibaki is a perfect example of what it can do to a nation. He took reins of power at a time when we were growing negatively, when we were doing badly as an economy. Within 10 years, grown us organically to a level whereby we were competing fairly in the economic space of the world. took over and Uhuru showed us how to do everything the wrong way. In 10 years, he had borrowed 6.7 trillion, and we are here where we are. Then President Ruto has come in, and instead of learning from the wrongs of his boss, he perpetuated infinity, and that is why we are here where we are. So he has to correct these once and for all. And by the way, my call is, let him put in place a cabinet that is a reflection of the face of Kenya, and one to help him deliver the better agenda. But again, we also want him to come down to the PSS, because they are the technical experts of the ministries. Are they capable of advising the cabinet secretaries? Do they have the technical know-how to run those ministries? Because they are the accounting office. He needs to do a total surgery into his government. Now, why is he transferring the incompetent police of Kware after bodies have been dumped at their doorstep? Which part of Kenya needs that incompetence among police? You don't transfer incompetence. You fire incompetence and replace it with competence. Like what he's doing with the cabinet, we want to cross the board. And then we must also call out the commissions of Chapter 15 of the Constitution. The 12 institutions have failed us completely. IPO has failed us. EACC has failed us. All of them, including SRC, has failed us. You cannot have people paid and enjoying packs of over 2 million to sit and connive against Kenyans, and then you have hard-working Kenyans earning peanuts, and you call yourself an independent SRC. We need also to disband all these commissions and reconstitute them afresh. We also need to ask ourselves a question. How can it happen and we have a niece that didn't know that there was a serial killer on the loose for 2 years, killing with reckless abandon and dumping bodies left, right, and center, and we have a niece that is functional with all. Then we need to ask ourselves, do we need it?
Actually, that's a very pertinent issue, because from the investigations that I've been able to do for the last 2 days is work that is very commendable, but the issue is, where were you?
Where were you? Then you wake up and get us the culprit in 72 hours.
And also,
so when were you working for?
And also, before we forget, between 2022 and 2023, Shakahola, over 600 people disappeared.
Happened.
And this niece never told us. Then we have this 42 as alleged disappearing within 1 year, and this niece didn't tell the president, who said the niece never advised the president correctly. So we have a problem with institutions, and needs, to be very honest, needs to account for its money.
No, it is time we look at these institutions and ask ourselves, now because we are now having the national dialogue the country has been calling for, now we need to ask ourselves, now let us now have total surgery into the institutions of this government. And President William Ruto has been presented with a very rare opportunity. We need even now to handle all the economic, historical injustices. We need to ask ourselves a question. How come that we have families that own, that Pandora paper tells us they have trillions of money in an offshore account, in a country where people are living under the bridges because they are vagrants? We need to ask, which salary was these politicians live with all these legis? We need to have this national dialogue. Now, he has the opportunity to present or to preside over it and bequeath us a new nation.
And of course, we will be, in the next hour, we also be looking at the security, because, wow, the Kware issue has really, really, really made us wonder exactly.
I mean, we do feel like genuinely, it's quite interesting how his name is Collins. 72 hours, they already found him and everything. Yet, the policeman who shot Rex, on the first Maandamano, there was a young man who was killed and his name was Rex. Peaceful demonstration, that was the first day. He's still working. In fact, he's also active on social media, asking us, the Kenyans, about it. So you cannot come and tell us that you found a serial killer within 72 hours.
You just killed 42 people.
But somehow, but then you find the policemen that were brutally killing people, they are still working.
All right, we'll be looking at the security lapse that has been the last 3 months, because going back to Shakahola, you're now talking about 42 bodies. What else don't we know? 40 people were killed by the same police officers. What more? Away from that, I want to know, as a Gen Z, would you like exactly what the head of state talked about, that we have a government that would also incorporate from the political divide?
I mean, if he's going to allow us, of course, try and implement, is have the young people in the government. Have a few people. I mean, just like I said, we still need representation. But I feel like first, of course, you need to vet these young people. Whoever is entering into the cabinet or whatever position of the government, of course, needs to be vet. But more importantly, just like you've asked, I do feel like there is an opportunity. There is a very huge chance. Just find the right people. There are people who have studied these things. Have a talk with them. Put them in the government. One thing that I feel like also we want to do as young people is whoever we're going to be putting in these seats, if you do not do your job, I'm talking everybody in the government. Even if right now I'm a cabinet, right? He might add another one, fine. But we are saying whoever is not going to work, we will not allow you to finish your term. If you're not going to work, because you already have, since the president has been in, he already has done. If there is nothing to show for it, we will not keep engaging in conversations. And Maandamano takes a lot of energy, physically, emotionally. It's very sad that every day we enter on social media, there's something that is happening. We are also tired. Also, we don't even have the money. We are funded. I don't know who is this. No one is funding us. This is money that we are asking from affair. Dad, Miss DL affair. And some parents they are closing the gate. Unaenda kutoka unapata kufuli kwa gate because they don't want. So there's no one funding us, right? So do the things the right way. We are here. We are willing. As Gen Z, we keep saying tukiuko nje kwa maandamano. We are idle. We have a lot of time. But then we can have maandamano every day. I can assure you that. And we have the energy. We walked from Ruiru to Githurai. I walked. I would have gone to Nairobi, only that my mom kept saying, hey, come back home. But I would have walked. What is Nairobi? I can walk back home. I can. I have the energy. I have the time. I might not have the money. I don't have the resources because no one is funding us. But the president should ask himself, then where is the strength coming from? But also it's because we have seen you guys before. We have seen our parents come to these talks and say what they need. He does not listen. I can assure you conversation probably is not going to be hard. And so we come out to the streets because if you not hear us, then you will see us. And then hopefully when you see us, then you'll know it's serious business.
Engineer, as we wrap up on the new face of cabinet, and the head of state was very categorical that he would look at all sectors. Apart from the reduction that people have talked about, the reduction from 22 ministers to about 14 or 15, what are some of the challenges that could be posed by him, including the opposition? In his government.
One of the obvious challenges is the ideological. There are certain Kenya Kwanza.
But some people would argue that now we have a face of Kenya.
Exactly. So one of the things, Kenya Kwanza made a promise, which you can see the president has a very deep conviction for. For example, the housing levy issue, the universal health coverage and how to achieve it, the university education financing model. Those are areas we have seen the opposition has a different perspective on. As when you bring in members of the other side of the political aisle into your cabinet, you will have to either give in to some of their demands. So therefore, he may have to look at, number one, I don't have 2 years. He has, I think, three financial budgets to work with to be able to deliver what he's not been able to deliver in the last 2 years. And then you have these people who will now not just accept whatever you propose to them. They will have independent minds. They'll have to rely on the position from their political party. They'll have to position of the people they represent in terms of the position they present in cabinet. So those are the kind of dynamics we'll experience in this cabinet if it's going to be a government. No. Some of these politicians, once they become part of government, they forget their allegiance to the people who elected them. They forget about the deals they go and do there. So for me, my only worry is that if we end up the way we have always had, where when this it becomes a cartel of doing business and forgetting the masses, we'll end up with maandamano not very far away. We need to have a government where people will come in not because of their political affiliation, but because they are Kenyans. They have an agenda for Kenyans. They have a common direction they are going as a cabinet. They have policies that are promoting the well-being of a country. They have an agenda that will make sure that whatever they'll be able to achieve 2027, by 2020, pushed forward. We have a vision 2030, which clearly we have abandoned. Can we go back to that vision 2030 and look at the areas we can salvage? Next 5 years before it comes to an end, we are able to pursue some of the agendas that we promised our people. The product of the free education of Kibaki in 2003. They are the product of Katiba 2010. They are the product of those are the things they know. And when they look at a government, they expect a service from the government. They are the people who is elected to serve the people, because they experienced that through the Kibaki administration. It's only now they have come to see politicians now amassing a lot of wealth, being arrogant and all those things. And they have said, no, we know when you are elected as a leader, you serve the people. Politics is not about money and power. So they have refused those things, and we expect the cabinet, in whatever formation it will be, service and not of power play.
Well said, Engineer Crispus Wadimba. We have Shali Wairimo, and also we have Kemani. Things into perspective. We're looking at the state of the nation. We still have a lot of ground to cover. When we come back, we'll also be looking at the new leadership in the police service, and also Kenyans have noted in the regards of the adjustment of Senate shillings by the government in regards to levy. And of course, a number of Kenyans have mentioned that we need to take these things to the public, that is public participation, and also to some of these issues. We'll be back with this conversation. Let also me and Brian Muraru, who is a sign language interpreter, to also take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a brand growing outdoor advertising with beautiful simplicity and inspired choice? Look no further. Our 40 years of credible reputation and experience will give you exceptional brand traction.
Look at you. Loyal and dishonest. To me and to poor Vicento, who is devastated right now.
So you were the one who gave him those keys?
Yes. Olegario, what's wrong? Olegario?
TikTok. Get your brand on the talk with City Clock.
Of course. Kinadu is to blame for the world coming down. Kinadu is to blame for the recent France. Blame me for your stupidity. Blame me even for you coming to grocery.
Wow, Julia. You mean you are shining in gold nowadays?
Do you even listen to yourself before you speak?
Oh, please. We both know that I am a giver.
Go spoil yourself, eh? I know you.
I am not giving you a cut, Farah.
If you are referring to Kinanzui, you should know Kinanzui is no longer the watchman.
They have found someone else. This one used to behave like he was the old school.
Welcome back, and just in case you joined us, this is KBC News Check on this day where we are keeping tabs to see how things unfold in regards to the Gen Z mandamanos, which they called out today. And who is a leadership and governance expert. We have Shali Wairimu, who is a social media manager and also content creator. And also we have Kimani Mwangi, who is a leadership and governance expert, political scientist as well. Away from that, the new look of cabinet, which we are all Kenyans, we're really expectant to know exactly what will it encompass and who will be in that. Will we have technocrats alone? Will it be politicians and technocrats? Will it have the mamambogas? And will it also have the young generation, as they called out the government? Before we went for the break, I had mentioned that we will be looking at the security. Let's be very honest. The security lapse that we are constantly having in the last 1.5 years is quite alarming. We have over 400 people in Shakahola who have been exhumed. We have 42, as claimed by that the serial killer, they say, has already confirmed that he killed all those people. And we also have 10 people in Kware Dam who are actually, unfortunately, all of them are women. We've had police, especially since the Mandamano, since the first person was killed, to 4. No one has been arrested whatsoever in regards to that. But we've had some few changes here and there in the police.
You know, one of the things I always ask the police whenever we interact is that, why are you so efficient in arresting a traffic offense and you are not as efficient in economic crimes?
And just a quick one, Wadimba. As we, on our screens, we have images from the coastal city of Mombasa. Little to no activity in so many buildings. As we can see, a lot of them are closed, but we can see at least businesses more or less. We have media following up on. As we see it, is that so far the mandamanos in Mombasa have not yet commenced, but we'll be getting more on that. Anne Mboro, my colleague, is in Mombasa, and she'll be telling us what is happening there. But kindly continue with the point.
So the challenge we have is that it is easy for a traffic offense to be arrested and one to be fined, but it's very hard for homicide to be investigated and prosecuted successfully. For the scale, for example, of Shakahola, up to today, we have never understood how this man was able to orchestrate all this. And still, we have not had a successful prosecution. It's lacking within the police service to motivate them to be able to see every crime, whether small or big, is their responsibility to solve. And I think for me, it's an issue of the leadership. We have had various IGs or head of police come and go. And we have seen the quality of the police service change depending on the leadership. When the president came in, he made sure that he had his own man that he can entrust. But did he entrust them with a certain caliber of values and aspirations that he wants? He spoke a lot of saying, I will not allow the police system to be misused. I will not allow abductions to happen. I will not allow certain things to continue that were there before. But we have seen the same revisiting ourselves in the last 1 month. But we have not heard him denouncing those activities. That's where the problem is. So as long as we don't have the political stewardship, the political will, we don't hear the political leaders going against that which they have said they don't subscribe to. We question ourselves. And that's why you find there's a policeman out there who has been seen shooting people. And up to action that has been taken to him, we're not saying he has to be arrested. Maybe he was working within the confines of the police regulations, but we need to see some maybe him being suspended and some action being taken so that Kenya can say at least the system is working. But as long as that is not happening, we will not have the confidence in the police or the security infrastructure. If we look at the time when Boynet was the head of the NIS, when he founded you could not even speak ill about the president because easily you could be picked up. Because the intelligence system was working. What has happened now that people can disappear and nobody is able to tell? So we need to ask ourselves, are we failing this institution or the institution has failed us? Is it being ill-funded? Is it ill-resourced? Or we have been putting money and that money cannot be accounted for? The same way in the defense forces, we also put it in NIS. But we can see our borders are secure. But how come inside we are not secure? And the security of our country entirely relies mostly on intelligence gathering. If we don't have the intelligence, then the other police forces cannot be able to action whatever they don't have. So we need to make sure that the intelligence service is robust, is able to do its work, and if it's fair, why?
Kimani, I would like to build up on what Engineer has raised. And these are constitutional offices. We're talking about the National Intelligence Service. We're talking about the DCI and also talking about the police themselves. More or less, they work together. But they have been under scrutiny for the last couple of days or months or weeks for now. If we begin from Shakahola, where everyone was sleeping on the famous Nyumba Kumi. Another thing, the abductions themselves. As Engineer is saying that we may have our borders safe, but inside there's a lot of rot in these offices. And even the Deputy President called them out saying that, you know, you didn't do a good job in informing the President in regards to the Mandamanos.
I think there are two bad habits or bad manners that we have to stop in Kenya as far as security and law is concerned. One, the law must stop being a cobweb that catches insects but get trampled by big ants. It can't be a tool.
Okay, I kindly hold the thought. I'm informed that we need to cross over to the Supreme Court where my colleague Farah Yusuf is currently keeping tabs with what is happening, and especially in the light of the Mandamanos. Have you seen in Mombasa groups of youths or some crowds of youths? They are moving slowly with some I've seen some twigs. The business is more or less moving, going on. As you can see, reject, under the banner of Occupy CBD, as we have seen in social media. That is Mombasa as we speak. That is currently happening. That is what is currently happening in regards to Mandamanos. And you can see from what we are looking at now, vehicles either have to be very slow or business have been affected altogether. For more, let's first of all cross over to the Supreme Court right here in the capital, Nairobi, and see exactly what the situation in Nairobi CBD is. Farah, if you can hear me, kindly bring us up to speed with what is happening in CBD. All right, as we wait for those pictures, you were saying something in regards to the security lapse that we are currently experiencing.
There are two things that we...
Kindly go on, Farah.
indeed, a very good morning to you, Ben Troy, back there at the broadcasting house. We're coming to you live from the Wabera Street. And as you can see, broadcasting house all the way to this place, traffic today is seemingly lower than what you would expect on a weekday. If my camera person can just show you now, this is Wabera Street, a street where you would normally expect to have traffic moving on a weekday, being a street that would be busy on a weekday. But from the time that we left broadcasting house all the way up till here, traffic has been slow. The streets leading up to here are also not experiencing that much of traffic. But right now we can pan and just show you the other street leads up to the Supreme Court. That is the pictures that you can see right there now. This is the Supreme Court building, around about that you would expect on a normal day to be rather busy with traffic moving. But perhaps something that we've been also able to notice is there's a police roadblock that has been set up here. As you can see, the officers are standing guard to block traffic. The traffic leading Parliament buildings has been blocked, but as you can see, the traffic that is coming from there, possibly going through to town and going about their business, is being allowed to move. But this is just a picture of what we've been able to see from the time that we left broadcasting house coming up to here. Traffic is moving slower than you would expect on a normal weekday, but of course we're keeping track of whatever is happening. There are the streets here from the also experiencing slower traffic than you would see on a normal day. But of course, Troy, we would be able to keep track of everything, and if there's any changes, we'll bring it to our viewers live. Troy?
Farah, before I let you go, the last time we had Mandamanos, the Supreme Court road was closed entirely and there was no traffic that was moving. How is the situation now inside the Supreme Court? Is everything going on as usual? No, it seems that we cannot get far, but the last time, actually the first Mandamano Supreme Court was one of the casualties, and after that we've seen that road which up to City Hall being cordoned off by the police, but we will be getting more from other parts of the country as well. We have Wycliffe and Achola, Simon in Kisumu, and we also have Alan Aoko, who is looking at how the Mandamanos have affected. Before we went for that live feed, talking about the security apparatus in the country and how they should actually also step up, because what we are witnessing now, it shouldn't be happening.
No. What we're saying is, it is patently obvious that the law has been used as a tool by the state against its people. But what I mean is, it can't be this is perfected when protecting those in power. But when it comes to protecting the people, we are left to ourselves. People die in Shakahola, and we have a functionalist that never had an inkling of what was going on for years. People are abducted, and we are told even the minister is investigating who are abducting people. Police shoot peaceful protesters in broad daylight, in the face of cameras, and we are still having them around, yet we have the audacity to interdict that poor young fella who came to protest in police uniform. So we have to ask ourselves a question, and these are things that must stop with this nation. Now, do you know that Kenyans don't even report cases of crime to because it is a ritual? You go there, come out with a paper in the name of OB, and that is it. You call the police officer, and they even have the audacity ya kukuambia weke gari mafuta ndio waende wakuje waone what happened. You get it? But if the mheshimiwa's life is threatened today, look at what is happening. We already have all manners of security vehicles, even those we never thought we had, being brought to public to stop us from threatening their peace. I think this is something that must stop. The framers of Constitution, by changing it from National Police Force to National Police Service, intended that it should be service to the people. And that we should be proud of having a police service, not a force that is meant to injure and maim us, but a service that is satisfaction. Now, the president, again, if he is genuine, he has an opportunity to make this happen. He has an opportunity to ask questions. Why is it that these things have been happening? But again, the problem is, these people are the same old people who are reading an old map trying to get to a new city. Now, you had asked a question earlier, and allow me to backtrack a little bit. You see, this thing they are calling government of national unity. It is something that has worked for them before. And this is how it works. Now, positions are not positions to individual, but positions to tribes. Now, if we're there, a seat, we as people of Nakuru clubs, Wadhimba, our son, is now a CS. You get a seat under the people of Ukambani, wow. If you come from Embu, the people of Embu, our son, has got that's how it has always worked. Now, when it comes to bringing people and the face of Kenya, it's not about face of Kenya that is meant to perform. It is a face of Kenya that is meant to from where these people are handpicked. Old habits must stop. What Kenyans are asking for is, can we have a police service that serves us? Let us be apprehended when we are in the wrong, but let us be protected when we need the protection of the police service. You cannot shoot peaceful protesters, right, with reckless abandon, and you go unpunished. And then we call ourselves that we are a democracy with IPOA and a police service. Now, those are things that must stop. We cannot have an incompetent DCI. Crimes happen in its face. In the last regime, we had bodies retrieved from River Yala. We've had cases of people you challenge the status quo. What we are sure of is, like she's rightly putting it, she's afraid because she doesn't know whether we shall be talking of some things that have been done as we are witnessing. It's a shame, and it is a time when and tell the president it is time to have the institutions work for us, because it is through our efforts that these institutions came to be and are funded. And the president must for once stand with the people.
Yep. Shali, it's no brainer that the Gen Z maandamanos have criminals, and that's a security challenge for anyone, either supporting maandamano or not. How do we root out and call out those exactly who are actually funding? Those are the ones who are funding the maandamanos, so the infiltration.
Yeah. So one thing that I would like all of us to know is that, or rather the question was, how are these young people able to organize these maandamanos? Simple. It's through conversations on social media. It is through groups. Now, in the same groups that we have, our own friends are the ones coming back to us and saying, guys, okay, I have been paid 5,000 Kenyan shillings to come and loot. We have photos of young people waiting outside homes of politicians, waiting to be paid. And we even asked ourselves, it's quite interesting how during the protests, no looter or no thief was killed. It was the innocent people who are doing peaceful demonstrations. To us, that shows us that they are known. The police know the people. And even going back all the way to Shakahola, I want us to remember January we were facing a problem of femicide. No politician talked about it. The police did nothing about it. I'm saying it's quite interesting how this Collins guy has been found within 72 hours, yet the people who kill people during the femicide And I'm sorry to say this, but we all know images of that young girl's head. Nothing was done. These people, hawajatafutwa, nothing. Shakahola, over 600 innocent Kenyans. Justice was served, none. And it's not that we don't know where these people are. We all do. But what is happening? So to us, the police are actually against us. They were supposed to come and protect us. And you know, it's actually a very big issue because we are finding ourselves in situations where even our own Gen Zs who are in police, during the maandamano, they're coming to us and they're like, mnaelewa, we don't want to. We also wish that we could take off our uniforms and come and join you, but they can't. As easy as people think. And in fact, the other day I was having a conversation with somebody who is in a police, a friend of mine, and I really wanted to understand why is it that the police are not just waking up and removing their uniforms and sisi wote tukue kimoja. They're like, we can't. We work for the government. We hold secrets of the government.
And they also took an oath.
Yes. Once you're out, you can't just, you know, it's not like here you can just, I can say quit, cut, I'm out, I leave. They can't do that. There are laws that they have to abide to. So even to them, but they are forced to do it. And that's why we're saying, there is no way anyone can come and sit down and tell us that, oh, I don't know how this is happening. I don't know where the bodies are coming from. What do you mean you don't know?
Did the recent changes in the security apparatus and leadership instill some confidence that now we are starting to change even the police service?
First of all, no, because Kome needs to come back. He needs to come back home. Where is he? Why did he leave? Why did he resign? No. No. There's no chance to... You resign. Guys, come back. Why did you resign?
Of course, there was a lot of pressure.
A few days later,
40 people are killed.
Exactly. So you know something, right? You know something. Some people, we all know something as we are seated here. We all know a few things here. You know, the problem with social media is social media has no secrets. People send everything and anything. So even these deaths and how people have been brutally killed, we are seeing it. And I'm not lying to you. Even today, one of the reasons we're on the streets is because of those people who are killed innocently. We are seeing it. We are seeing their... No one is telling us. We're not hearing. It's not hearsay. We are literally logging into our phones, seeing our brothers and sisters, people 20, a 20-year-old. The only thing, after I'm dressed in black, after this I'm going to the streets, the only thing I have in my bag is the Kenyan flag. Proud to be Kenyan. I will always be a Kenyan. I'm not going to hate my country because my great-grandfather was one of the people who fought for independence in our country. This is our land. This is our country. We're not leaving. And in fact, anyone who wants to leave, let them leave and go and wasongewe country ingine. But this is our land. We fought for it. People died for independence. People literally died for us to be here. For the longest time, I would never come to a show like this and give my opinion. We have come from so far for us to be seated here. So the police should not act confused or, you know, I saw they were showing a drone shot of where the police station is and where the bodies are. You're not going to tell us that somebody is busy chopping body parts and moving them and no one suspected anything. Hata sahi ukiiba kuku ya wenye believe by kesho utajulikana ni wewe umeiba kuku. These are actual human beings.
And by the way, Engineer, she's raising a very pertinent issue in regards to how the police have always been caught flat-footed. And within 72 hours, you've already completed investigations. And whatever was happening less than what? Less than a kilometers from where? Actually,
yeah, 120 meters.
120 meters. I'm talking about less than a kilometer.
And most of these people who are there are people that we know got lost during the maandamano. That's the thing also. We know, these are our friends. We've been looking for them. We have photos of them missing people.
Yeah, she raises a very valid point because there are some people who said the June maandamanos.
The test is not in what the police have said yesterday. The test is in the successfully prosecuting this person and having him convicted. Remember the other serial killer who was killing children? They could not be able to... He confessed, but the day he was produced in court, he denied. And then he was lynched by the mob. We have seen places where the police come and tell us, oh, we have found this person. But when it comes to having concrete evidence to sustain prosecution. And that's why the problem has been. They are very good in doing a PR activity. But when it comes to delivery, the conviction, the justice, that's the problem. And we need to see them deliver that justice, not just in this person who has confessed to be a serial killer, but even with themselves in terms of how. Yeah.
All right, and we are keeping tabs with what is happening in regards to the Mandamanos. Let's first of all cross over to Gong Road, where my colleague Abdiaziz Hashim is currently checking out to see how things are there. Let's first of all cross over to Gong Road. All right, and earlier on, as we wait for Abdiaziz, earlier on, we have seen two situations in Mombasa. Everything so far is quite calm, although a number of cities and towns, Mombasa, Nairobi, are more or less like ghost town, people deciding to stay back and just watch from their television. All right, I'm informed we will take a while for Abdiaziz to tell us about what is happening in Gong Road, but let's first of all come back to our topic of discussion. Is ready? All right, thank you. My director informs me that Abdiaziz is ready and coming.
Well, Troy, we have been touring some of the major nerves that are entering into the Central Business District, and this is one of them. This is Gong Road. We toured this particular area all the way from Valley Road, City Mortuary, and up here to Junction Mall, which is the main junction to this particular Gong Road. And behind me, this is a road that is leading all the way to Gong Road, to Gong itself and Karen. And behind the camera is the road leading all the way to town. And on my you're going to head through James Gishuru all the way to Waiyaki Way. So this is a very vital road that the police have been manning to ensure that traffic is moving on smoothly, which we have assessed, and we're seeing traffic moving on smoothly. What we're also being told by sources that are closer to the road is that there were some of the roadblocks that were placed in vital areas that are leading up to Kibera, but that is yet that to affirm if that is the true position, given that they were saying that they do not want to see some of the protesters emanating from Kibera slums all the way to the Central Business District, as was the case in Waiyaki Way. What they need to do in Waiyaki Way is that what you saw last time, where the police had barricaded those areas so to avoid residents as well as residents of Dagoretti North and South, all the way reaching to the Central Business District to join some of their brethren if they're protesting today, that is. And that is the current situation here. We've also seen police officers not just manning this particular road, but ensuring that traffic is moving on smoothly. You know, this particular road known as Gong Road has been very popular for the craftsmen and women who have been on the side of the road to build their furniture, as well as ornaments that they're selling to the people, and even plants. And we have seen them continuing with their day-to-day operation, as is the case in a normal day. Now, you do remember this particular the various key institutions like the Kenya Meteorological Department and other government key institutions that need to be protected. And also along this route, you do know that the UDA headquarters is along this particular route. We have also seen those areas being protected by police officers, including businesses and people who are operating within this particular sector. The transport system itself has public service vehicles and private cars have been moving into and out of the Central Business District. We want to connect this particular route to Waiyaki Way, given that James Gishuru is just here, to see the situation in Waiyaki Way, in Kangemi, to see if the situation will be what we witnessed last time when we were there as the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, or has the situation changed. But for now, back to you, Troy. We need to head over to Waiyaki Way.
Thank you, Abdiaziz Hashim, live from the busy Gong Road. And as he has mentioned, manning those two roads, and traffic officers are there as well to ensure that traffic is seamless. Let's now cross over to Waiyaki Way, as he has mentioned, to find out exactly. That is one of the roads that was really worst hit during the Maandamano. So it's also good to know how the busy Waiyaki doing. All right, as we wait for that feed from Wayaki Way, let's go back to our discussion. But very quickly is that the roads are not quite as busy as they always are, but police are there to ensure that when if protesters come, they are and business is as usual. We are talking about something in regards to the security lapse that we have witnessed. Live pictures from Mombasa. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be keeping you up from a number of places, including other counties as well. Those are live pictures from Mombasa, and the youths, the Gen Zs, are already on the streets with their water, with their twigs, with their placards. Occupy CBD, as they had mentioned on various social media platforms. Peaceful as we are seeing, as no police yet. We don't have any sighting of any police officers, but as you and the placards, the vuvuzelas, the whistles, and their phones, and their the mandamanos, they are undermannering to the CBD. Because I've seen somebody here in social media quote. But currently in Nairobi, no much business is happening in regards to the Gen Z mandamanos. But away from that, let's first of all come to you, Kimani, in regards to the security, the lapse that we are witnessing. And unfortunately, the breach, we transfer the county police commander. We either, like we saw in Kware, they have been. I don't think police should have done that.
No, you see, one thing is for real, that in the perception of the people, the Kenya police is like a legalized mafia, which serves its own selfish interests. When they get out, they don't get out to protect us from unroadworthy vehicles on the road. They don't get out, the traffic police, drivers on the road. They get out to collect bribes from these people. That is the perception of Kenyans towards the police. Now, that is a legalized mafia, because mafia goes out to extort the people. Now, we can't have mafia in uniform whose work is to extort the people and to serve the interests of those in power. That must change completely. And that is why you realize if something threatens the peace of those in power, within is the serial killer who's tortured you or who's killed your women for 2 years. But because the people are angry and want quick actions, because if they don't, the ruling class is in danger, within 42 it that we have a very competent police office. We have all the facilities and all the investigative everything we need to have justice served to the people, but because the people do not matter, we don't extend the service to them. We only do it when it is convenient.
And as you can see on your screen, there's a Gen Z there with a
flag.
All in black. And it's more or less like he's lecturing the police officers there. But the good thing is that he is peaceful. He's not carrying stones, not carrying any weapons.
Yes.
So
I was saying, this perception must change once and for all. It must stop from serving the selfish interests of the members of the police service and the political class to serving the people of Kenya. Now, it is true that we have been failed completely on that front by our service and by the president and his government at large. What needs to be done is that a lot needs to be done. We need to build the confidence of the public towards the police, because as it stands, when you look at a police officer, it reminds you of your relative that went in but all you heard of them is that you heard of them collected from a dam somewhere. So you see a murderer. If that is not the case, you are reminded of people who maimed your peaceful protesting son or daughter. It can't be that. What is the picture of the police we have of incompetence and selfishness, right? They are the cause of the accidents we have in this country. They are the cause.
At least they have the big share.
No. In fact, I keep saying, the reason we have
The reason I'm saying this is because at the end of the day, we also have to...
Let me tell you why I think there's already to blame. There are no good people in the world. What we do is to put laws and people. Now, when institutions fail to govern, it is like when animals all run into a dam and they throw themselves there. The animals do what they are doing is dangerous.
It's important to note that that is Parliament Road, actually at the junction of City Hall Way, right? And as you can see, the road has been cordoned off, not like other roads. We're just seeing a few vehicles and a few security officers crossing the road, but no Gen Zs, not as busy as Parliament Road usually is. And it's a good thing that the cameraman is now panning so that we may have a clear happening. Yes, the police are on standby. And remember, Parliament was one of the worst hit government installation during the first protest last month. But as you can see, they are ready. And traffic is not as busy as it used to be, but we'll keep you updated on that as the day pans out. But if you've noticed, the Mandamanos in the afternoon is where a lot of things happen. Kindly wrap up so that we may give up
my take on Njue is that we have a defining moment in our country where we must turn these institutions to be institutions that work for us. We have a moment to make sure that what we have is a pure democracy and not a kleptocracy, where we have a government formed of thieves, by thieves, and for the thieves, as Okio Mutata called it the other day. We and make sure that we all are proud as Kenyans because of having a government that works for us and a police service. You know, one thing that happened that should be an awakening call, I saw protesters buying water, soda, lunch to the police officers. Hey, you guys haven't eaten?
Imagine.
You get it? That is what we need to see in Kenya. A public that appreciates here to protect us, not to harm us. We saw protesters bringing water to askaris who had tear gassed themselves to help them. Now, the police need to reciprocate in kind and for once start serving us. We should be proud of our police service. We should be proud of our president. When you go out there, you need to talk more of Kenya and not hide and say, not necessarily a Kenyan.
And since we are also delving into the matter of security, information is that the Kware dump site suspect Collins Jumaisi Halusha will be arraigned in Kiambu law courts under a miscellaneous criminal application. What the police will be, be charged with any crime yet. What police will be doing, they will be seeking for more time. That's what a miscellaneous application is, and that is keeping you updated on how many days they want to hold or detain the suspect to complete investigations. Back to you, Shirley. You are a social media manager.
Yes.
How do we ensure that we have social media security? Because from what we see, you are seeing both the Gen Z movement and the Mandamanos via social media. But let's be very honest, it's not all pomp and color when we talk about social media in the country.
Yes.
We have seen alarming posts, we have seen some false ones, we've seen some doctored information on social media. How do we ensure that we create a conducive environment for social media? Because more or less is what the Gen Zs are using to push their agenda.
I mean, I feel like one of the things that we are trying to do is getting our news from. So one of the things that we are trying is actually, we've been making jokes with each other because half of us, we used to watch our parents watch news at 7 and we are like, I'm not going to watch news. And now we are the adults, and we are forced to watch the news. So, and that's why even with the bodies that were being retrieved, people were saying, can the news give a specific number of the bodies that have been found? That is in the world of social media. So the outlets that we are using, they also need to specifically say what is happening in our country. Now, lucky for us, we do have these big pages like Nairobi Gossip, we have Booze, Buzz, all these places where we find our information from. Now, of course, it's sometimes very hard because some of the issues, I also saw that even because a lot of people did not show up, they were actually using images of the femicide protest. So of course now we have to sit down and recognize that there are people who know that we are using social media platforms to come out and do this protest. So of course they're engaging themselves. In fact, we have people who are creating fake pages with politicians' names, politicians' numbers. We also have people who, when they join our groups, what they do is they come and report the group. So the group has no to just be removed. So I think it is very important for us to be in these conversations in the groups where we know where our message is directly coming from. Even as right now I'm seated here, I have so many people who are watching me, young people, and it's because this news, or rather even this station, is authentic. You don't need to lie, which I do know should not be against the people. You know, the first thing that Ruto asked about the killings, he said, BBC News has not reported the massacre. So it is a problem when the social media people are the ones who are coming and fabricating lies. But lucky for us, as I've said, we do know the pages of where to get information. We do know information from. We are very specific with the things that we have conversations in the group. So even when someone comes up with a lie, we know that it is a lie. Also, don't forget, these people who are still in the government are still using their social media platforms. That's also another thing that is quite interesting, because as I said, the policeman who killed Rex is still using his platform to attack us. He's speaking loudly that I did it. Yes, what are you going to do to me? Nothing, you know? So we all know that. And it's okay that all of us, I think the most important thing is to remain authentic to the channels that we have. The only thing I'm going to request the people of the news is please give us the right information. Don't fabricate lies, okay? Also, to finish with what he said, we do not want for the people who killed, the police that killed, we don't want them to resign or for them to be fired. We need justice to be served. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm not carrying a stone, I am not carrying a gun, I am not carrying a knife. There is no need for you to attack me whatsoever. The police are here to look at us. They're standing to watch us do peaceful demonstrations.
All right. Engineer, let's look at the social media space, which, as I've said, it has endured. I remember the president, during a discussion with some of the editors in our newsrooms, said that there's nothing like the Githurai massacre. It's all more or less like it's false information. And looking at the social media, we are seeing some truths and half-truths. How do we regulate and ensure that what disseminated in our social media spaces is true? Because looking at the Gen Zs, they are using the social media platform as their, more or less like their table of discussions.
You know, we are now in the area where social media is taking over as the mainstream source of information. But in the same social media space, there is a lot of fake news. And then the other challenge we have, not many of media information can be able to decipher between the true and the fake news. And therefore, governments across the world are having challenges. Whether do we open up this space more? Do we deregulate this space more? Or do we bring in regulation? Do we control the narrative that is being shared across this platform? just across our neighbors here, Uganda, they have, I think, shut down Facebook for a very long time because the president in his own believed this tool was being used to destabilize his government. And Ugandans have created alternative ways to find Facebook. The same applied to even WhatsApp at some point. They had to put in some cost towards it to just control the WhatsApp. So governments across the world, yes, we present ourselves as a democracy. We need to have freedom of speech. We need to have people with a free media. But then, if this media is being infiltrated by fake news, how then do we ensure that we, as a responsible, ensure that the people consume the truth? And you even found places where an established media house, such as this, the trap of communicating fake news which they have found in social media. So it's a very tricky is facing, but across the world, that we are in this space where information is freely flowing, but and those who are consuming it are not able to know which one is the truth and which one is not the truth. But also we know, for those of us before the Gen Zs, that the media also has been used as a tool to control the narrative consumed in every day. We know as a country, we were so reliant on what the mainstream, that was the truth. Yet we have now come to realize some of the truth that we are told by this media was choreographed to make the way things are supposed to be. And these young people, when they are protesting, we have realized they are coming well-informed, well-equipped. They know the facts. And that's where the government is having a challenge. Because when they come to you, I was part of that space that the president was. And you could see these kids are coming with facts. I've been participating in so many of these spaces, and they have things are happening. When they happen, who did what? They already have, when you try to challenge them with facts, they bring you with the facts, images, institution, text from budgets, how the counties are spending money, who was paid what. So all this is information they have, and they are able to use to information they have. So therefore, if you try to squeeze that space that they have created for them, you will have a problem. And therefore, governments, in terms of managing the information, flow of information, and controlling fake news from spreading.
All right, and because of the interest of time, we need to wrap things up. I'm giving you a minute to summarize.
On the issue of social media, what I can advise the government is, again, social media is an idea whose time has come. You can't fight it. Fighting it means you are fighting those who use it as a source of information, which is sizable, in fact, the largest size of your population. What the government should be actively involved in social media, dispensing the right information. The danger with that is that the government has lost confidence in the eyes of the users of social media because lies. Those people who are where things are happening will have information totally different from what the government is going to post. Then the government has become an enabler of false news in the social media because of not being honest with the information. So it has make sure that it is dispensing right information, which I don't know whether they can do that. But if they want to counter the false information, that which is false by the truth. As a wind-up, what I would tell the president, my call is to the president of the Republic of Kenya. Take this golden opportunity that has been presented to him by the youth of this nation, stand on the right side of history, and make things work.
Thank you so much. Your final remarks?
There are funds that have been set aside for the young people. Is corruption. We want to start these businesses. It's not that we are lazy. It's not that we are idle. It's not that we don't want to work. Give us an opportunity. We are ready. We are the next people in line. We are the next generation. Give us the opportunity with us, have a dialogue with us, sit down. As he has said, we already know what we want, and we are well educated. We understand the laws of Kenya. So I feel like once, especially the president has dealt with the corruption that we have in our government, I personally feel like we will be fine. Don't overtax us on the things that we are trying to create for ourselves. I am a content creator. This is my phone that I bought with my money that I had to work for. The airtime that I put on this phone is bought by me. So there is no way also you're going to come in my creativity. And a lot of young people in Kenya are very talented with very many different things. Even in our ward at Ruiru, we have what is it called? A house where young people can go and practice karate. We have football. We have a field, you know. Once we are able to recruit members who will play for us on football teams, musicians, dancers. We have very many ways. The goodness about being a Gen Z is work wearing a specific job at a specific time. We can create for ourselves different outlets for us to have money to be funded and the corruption to end. Give us the space and we are willing to work. We have a lot of energy, a lot of time. When we're
all right, 30 seconds, Watimba.
Thank you. For me, I just want to call on to the president to take the demands of the movement serious. They have raised, I think there were 10 or 11. Look at each one of them, give a concrete response to each raise. And where you are not able to provide a response, explain yourself. Have an action plan, because the word now is talking, it's action. Give an action plan to all of these items. There are those we can achieve now, there are those you cannot achieve now, you will maybe achieve in a long term, so that these people can be able to know that we are walking away with something, and this is what we are being given by the government. Number 2 is that even you have some demands you have for the movement. Let us know what you also expect from them, so that we can also hold each other to account. Both sides, this conversation will not come to an end.
Indeed. Thank you so much indeed. Engineer Crispus Wathimba. Just next to him, Shali Wairimo, who is a social media manager. And also we have Kimani Mwangi, who is a leadership and governance expert there on the state of the nation, to canvass the issue of the fuel levy, but we have that in our subsequent interactions as well. Something that we are keeping tabs on is the demonstration. And as some demonstration as envisioned by the Gen Zs, instructions in regards to what is currently happening. But there is huge police presence in regards to Nairobi, Wayakiwe, and also in Mombasa. But Mombasa, we have seen some protesters there with some twigs. We've seen some. But so far, so good. Peaceful as the time goes on. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Bentro Njue. Brian Muraru has been for this live newscast. Now giving the baton to the Swahili desk for Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrini. Remember, we'll be keeping you updated on from various parts of the country. Have a good morning. Just a minute to 12. Thank you so much.
Staying fit and healthy is as important today as it's ever been. About smartwatches and fitness trackers and living a healthier life with wearables. If you need that little extra motivational push, get in gear. Oftentimes the sleeker and more comfortable alternative to clip-on heart rate trackers is the smartwatch. For many, they are a lifestyle product. They have the potential to be a lot more than just that. How well do they work, and do medical experts take them seriously? We got the chance to meet someone with first-hand experience, whose smartwatch might have just saved his life. Sasha Nivel's smartwatch went above and beyond recently. It prevented a possible